All right, Shalom. This is your brother Nahoya from the GMS Orlando camp. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Makakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasha Allah, and a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. All right, and tonight I want to go into a lesson on this video. All right, I want to keep it as short and concise as possible, grabbing many precepts in a decent amount of time to go into this. All right, and this video is basically a debate between this individual and these two individuals who were previously in WFI or Adam Abbott and this guy. And their debate was based on 2/3 inheriting the kingdom of Yahweh Shai Shai. All right, and for those who don't know, we in Great Millstone, we do believe that 2/3 will inherit the kingdom after learning for their disobedience through death by pain. All right, so I want to start off with this precept. All right, this is Galatians 3 and 17. All right, and it reads, "And this I say, that the covenant that was confirmed before of power in Hamashiach, the law which was 430 years after, cannot disannul that it should make the promise of none effect. For if the inheritance be of the law, it is no more of promise, but Yahweh Shai gave it to Abraham by promise." And the reason I want to start off with that, because that is the context. All right, everything that has happened, especially in the New Testament, is for the sake of this promise being realized, being manifested, being given to Abraham's seed after him. All right, when you go into Genesis, the 17th chapter, the Lord made a covenant. All right, this is Genesis 17 and 1. "And when Abraham was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty Power. Walk before me and be thou perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abraham fell on his face, and Yahweh Shai talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name be called Abram, but thy name shall be called Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee. And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be a power unto thee and to thy seed after thee." Didn't say just the righteous seed. Said the Lord, it said he would be a power unto thee and to thy seed after thee. And when you understand this first, that before the law was put in stone, the promise was made to our forefather Abraham. And this is why through the Spirit, we believe through faith that 2/3 of our people will be destroyed on this side. They will learn through death by pain, but they will be in the kingdom of heaven. All right, and I want to grab some other precepts to go into this. All right, now the Lord established this covenant with Abraham. And what happened? All right, and it's something we all know through the Spirit. Those who are of the understanding that they are Israelites, we know that the Lord passed that covenant down. Okay, and I want to get that really quick. All right, let me go to 44, Ecclesiastes 44, and I'm gonna jump down to the end. All right, Ecclesiastes 44 and 21. I'll start at 19. "Abraham was a great father of many people. In glory was there none like unto him, who kept the law of the Most High, and was in covenant with him. He established the covenant in his flesh, and when he was proved, and when he was proved, he was found faithful. Therefore he assured him by an oath, that he would bless the nations in his seed, that he will multiply him as the dust of the earth, and exalt his seed as the stars, and cause them to inherit from sea to sea, and from river unto the utmost part of the land, which with Isaac did he establish likewise for Abraham, his father's sake, the blessing of all men and the covenant, and made it rest upon the head of Jacob. He acknowledged him in his blessing, and gave him inheritance, and divided his portions among the 12 tribes, did he part them. Not just the ones who the Lord will put the Spirit on to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. Because when you understand the scriptures, the Lord, man's going to of the Lord. The Lord said he made us to err from his ways. All right. And for what purpose? That another pathway would be opened up for the nation of Israel to receive the promise that was given to our forefather Abraham. And before it was decided through law, all right, who was righteous and who wasn't, the Lord made a promise. All right. And when I say that, I'm talking about the covenant that the Lord made at Sinai. Before that happened, the Lord made a promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The law is our wisdom in the sight of the nations, but even our works right now are as filthy rags. But at the same time, and it applies to us as well, our disobedience, even now, as we try to do the right thing, all right, doesn't disannul a promise that was made to Abraham. And that promise wasn't made to just the righteous seed. It was made to the entire nation of Israel as an inheritance. And one thing that is very evident is that the entire nation of Israel is going through the curses, all right? But you have to ask yourself, if the Lord's going to allow the remnant or the elect to go into the kingdom of heaven and have children, who are those children? Who are the children that are going to be in the kingdom of heaven? All right, let's get that. There's Isaiah 60:21. All right, and it reads, "Thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time." Now, the Lord said that a small one, when you go into that word small, let's get it, is katan, and it's young, small, insignificant, unimportant. All right, the elect, the ones who are delivered from this captivity, are going to be significant. They're not going to be insignificant. And for argument's sake, if you believe that some of the elect that will be considered insignificant, that still begs the question, who are the children of this insignificant Israelite in the kingdom of heaven? Because that's not just one child. He's having 1,000 or a strong nation, and he's insignificant. So how much more so the ones who are significant in the kingdom of heaven? That is a multitude upon multitudes of children, as the stars of heaven. All right, that was promised to our forefather Abraham. Who are those children? Because there's no new thing under the sun. We have to remember that as well. All right, this is Ecclesiastes 1, and I'm going to jump down to 9. "The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, See, this is new? It hath been already of old time, which was before us." And that includes spirits. That's how we understand that we are the Israelites, because we have inherited, all right, the curses because of our disobedience in the past life. All right, this is Lamentations 3. Let me get it. All right. Salaki, bear with me. All right. Oh, it might be 5. Salaki, bear with me. All right, yeah. So it's Lamentations 5:7. All right, and it reads, "Our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquities." Again, because no new thing is under the sun, including people. And if in the kingdom, the elect are going to have children, and an insignificant Israelite is going to have 1,000, or become a strong nation, which means more than 1,000. He's going to become a strong nation by himself with so many children. Who are these spirits coming back? That is the mercy of the Lord, all right? And that's what a lot of our people, all right? Well, I won't say a lot, but that's what, these guys, it's a stumbling block unto these guys. Because they believe that the Lord would allow the heathens to come back. They believe that the Lord will allow the heathens to have serve captivity and then go into their own lands where they have to come back and worship the king. All right, let's get that. All right. Matter of fact, this is Zechariah 14. All right. Zechariah 14 and 16. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. So you have to ask yourself, the Lord's going to allow the heathens to serve captivity, right? But then they're going to be able to go into their own lands and either come to worship the Lord or not come and have no rain put on their land. But 2/3 of our people are just going to be destroyed. In the story. Let's get this. All right. This is Wisdom of Solomon 12. I want to jump down to around 14. All right. So this is Wisdom of Solomon 12 and 17. All right. And it reads, for when men will not believe that thou art of a full power, thou showest thy strength, and among them that know it, thou makest their boldness manifest. But thou, mastering thy power, judgest with equity, and orderest us with great favor. For thou mayest use power when thou wilt. The Lord judges with equity. It wouldn't be equity if the Lord allowed the heathens who never tried to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, who were never given an oath, who were never given the covenant, to go into their own land in the kingdom of heaven and choose whether they want to serve the Lord or not and have a punishment put on them. But 2/3 of our people are just going to be destroyed. That's not equity. 2/3 of our people are going to be destroyed in the story, but the heathens are going to be able to be destroyed and then come back and then say, let us go up to the house, to the mountain of the Lord and learn of his ways. Continuing on, verse 19. But by such works hast thou taught thy people that the just man should be merciful, and hast made thy children to be of a good hope, that thou givest repentance for sins. For if thou didst punish the enemies of thy children, and the condemned to death with such deliberation, giving them time and place whereby they might be delivered from their malice, with how great circumspection didst thou judge thine own sons, unto whose fathers thou hast sworn and made covenants of good promises. Therefore, whereas thou dost chasten us, thou scourgest our enemies 1,000 times more, to the intent that, when we judge, we should carefully think of thy goodness, and when we ourselves are judged, we should look for mercy. And what Jake is saying is that the Lord is going to chasten us and destroy 2/3 of our people completely. They're not going to inherit the kingdom of heaven at all. But for our enemies to be scourged 1,000 times more means that they're going to go through 1,000 years of captivity, and then they get to go into their own lands, except for Esau, Edom, and have their own lands, have their own leaders, and just come up to Jerusalem. But 2/3 don't even get to be on the planet at all. It's madness, man. And it doesn't link up with the promise that was made to our forefathers. All right, this is Deuteronomy 4. And I'm going to jump down to 30. All right, and it reads, when thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days, if thou turn to the Lord thy power, and shall be obedient unto his voice. All right, matter of fact, let me start up. But But if from thence thou shalt seek the Lord thy power, thou shalt find him. If thou shalt seek him with all thy heart and with all thy soul, when thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days, if thou turn to the Lord thy power, and shalt be obedient unto his voice. All right? For the Lord thy power is a merciful power. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers, which he sware unto them. You have to think about this, right? All right, the Lord is going to allow the nation of Israel, only a remnant, only the righteous of the nation of Israel to enter into the kingdom. They're going to have children as the sands of the sea, as the stars in heaven, which cannot be numbered or counted. And all of those spirits that are going to come back in the kingdom of heaven are just going to be new spirits. When you really think about how that logic sounds, and then look at what the Lord says about the heathens in the kingdom, that they're going to be in the kingdom in their own lands, except for Esau, Edom. His whole house will be destroyed. He's the only one in the scriptures mentioned where his whole house is going to be destroyed. There shall not be in the house of Esau anyone remaining, for the Lord has spoken it. What these guys are putting forth is that 2/3 of our people will die and never come back. And these scriptures are showing you through the Spirit that the Lord said that he would not forget the covenant that he made. When you go into the covenant that we went into, all right, the Lord didn't distinguish. He said that the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob would inherit the kingdom. They would inherit from sea to sea. That is going to be the mercy of the Lord that our people learn through death by pain. All right. The Lord didn't say that they were going to die and they were never going to be on the earth again. He said that they were going to learn through death by pain. All right. This is 2 Esdras 9:9. And it reads, then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. For such as in their life have received benefits, and have not known me, and they that have loathed my law while they had yet liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it. The same must know it after death by pain. It didn't say the same would never be on the planet again. It said they will understand and know it after death by pain. Because we all die, all right? Lord willing, in this life, those who are faithful and found worthy, the Lord will deliver them. And some will not see death in this life. But death by pain is a terrible way to go out. But to say that 2/3 of our people will not only go through death by pain, but they will never be on the earth again, but the heathens will, shows a gross misunderstanding of the big picture. Let me get this as well. All right, I'm going to go to Isaiah 45. I'm going to jump down to 25. All right, and it reads, in the Lord shall all the seed of Israel be justified and glory. And how is that going to happen? It's going to happen because the elect, the remnant, are going to be saved. And through the remnant, all right, when the remnant receives 100-fold for everything that they've sacrificed, wives, children, lands, the children that they're going to inherit in the kingdom are going to be those spirits that were rebellious on this side. When you look at the grand scheme, when you look at the bigger picture, it makes sense through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai. All right. Now let's take a look at this. All right. Revelations 20:5. All right. And it reads, but the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Now the dead here is talking about the other nations. So again, these guys are saying that the dead, they're going to get a chance to live after the 1,000 years. And that just means that the heathens are going to be in 1,000 years of captivity. And then they're going to get to go into their own land. They're going to be able to have that luxury. But 2/3 of our people are never going to be on the planet again after being destroyed. All right. And to edify, for edification's sake, I want to get a precept to go into this dead live not again. All right. I want to grab Isaiah 14:9. And it reads, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. And that shows you that the dead, all right, are the other nations. He that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall dwell in the congregation of the dead. All right. Only Israel is given the law, statutes, and commandments. So only Israel knows the wisdom of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. That means by default, the heathens are dead spiritually. All right. Matter of fact, let's get this. Prove that. Get in Ecclesiastes. All right. This is. Yeah, let me get this. Lord willing, bear with me 1 second. Get it in Proverbs. Come on. Salakia. Here it is. All right. This is Psalms 49:20. Man that is in honor and understandeth not is like the beasts that perish. All right. And Proverbs 21:16. The man that wanted out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. All right. And that just shows you that the heathens are considered dead. All right. Spiritually. So to go back to Revelations 20, and we look at this again, and the Lord's going to allow the dead to live again after 1,000 years of captivity. And what Jake is saying is that they're going to live again after 1,000 years of captivity, but 2/3 of our people will never be on the planet again after this judgment. All right, that makes no sense. All right, let me go to this as well. There's Wisdom of Solomon 16. I want to jump down to verse 13. All right, and it reads, for thou hast power of life and death. Thou leadest to the gates of hell and bringest up again. All right. We're going through our hell on earth, but the Lord's going to bring up again. All right. And that reminds me of something else. And that's the entire nation of Israel. The only difference is 2/3 of our people will have to learn through death by pain. All right. Baruch 4:6. All right. And it reads, I'll start at 5. Be of good cheer, my people, the memorial of Israel. Ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because you moved Yahweh Shem Yahushai to wrath, ye were delivered unto the enemies. For ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils and not to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Ye have forgotten the everlasting power that brought you up, and ye have grieved Jerusalem that nourished you. For when, let me jump down. All right, let me jump down to this. Verse 21 reads, be of good cheer, O my children, cry unto the Lord, and he shall deliver you from the power and the hand of the enemies. For my hope is in the everlasting, that he will save you, and joy is come unto me from the Holy One, because of the mercy which shall soon come unto you from the everlasting our Savior. All right, and that begins with the remnant. All right, that begins with the remnant of our people, but that same mercy is going to gravitate to the entire nation of Israel. All right, verse 27 reads, be of good comfort, O my children, and cry unto Yahweh Shem Yahushai, for you shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you. All right, because again, we were not sold to the nations for our destruction. All right, but because we moved the Most High to wrath, we were delivered to the enemies. But ultimately, the Lord's going to have mercy. And for 2/3 of our people, death by pain is mercy, because they're going to come back and inherit the kingdom. Very easy, man, through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. And I wanted to deal with these precepts that show you what the Lord said in the beginning. And that was that he made a promise to Abraham. It was passed down to Isaac, and then it was passed down to Jacob. And the accomplishing of that mission is what we have from Genesis to Revelations, is the Lord accomplishing that promise that was made, not just to the righteous. The righteous are the ones who take part in the first resurrection. They're the first fruits. But the entire nation of Israel will be saved, as the scriptures say, man. All right, let's get this. It's Romans 11:26. All right, and it reads, and so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. For this is my covenant unto them, when I shall take away their sins. Come on, man. And again, in Genesis 17, when we read the covenant, the Lord didn't say just the righteous. The Lord said the seed would inherit from sea to sea. All right, that was the promise that was made from Abraham, Isaac to Jacob, and it was passed down. We receive that as an inheritance. And Jake thinks that the little acts that we do in this world to try to be righteous is enough to be considered righteous, and it's not. All of our righteousness is as filthy rags. And Lord willing, we may be delivered from this, but it doesn't mean that 2/3 of our people, who the Lord refuses to give them the understanding, will not inherit the kingdom of heaven after death by pain. And to say that the heathens will be able to die, come back into the world, go through captivity, and then go into their own land and have kids and enjoy the earth, but 2/3 of our people won't, is madness, and it's a misunderstanding of the bigger picture. Matter of fact, it reminds me of this as well. All right, this is let me this is Ecclesiastes 19:1. A laboring man that is given to drunkenness shall not be rich, and he that contemneth small things shall fall by little and little. All right, because the scriptures tell us to be not curious in how the unrighteous, the ungodly shall be punished. All right, but I did want to go into this for edification's sake, because this can be a snare unto a lot of our people, all right, who will listen to this contemning of small things and miss the bigger picture that the Lord established. All right, this is 2 Esdras 9:13, and it reads, and therefore be thou not curious how the ungodly shall be punished and when, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved, whose the world is and for whom the world is created. And through that righteous, the unrighteous of our people will inherit the kingdom. And I'm going to keep repeating this point because it's important. It would be unrighteous and it would be without equity for the Lord to allow the heathens, the other nations who never tried to keep the commandments, who were never given the covenant, to only have to go through 1,000 years of captivity to go back in their land and keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and then come to worship the king, which is Hamashiach. They have that privilege, but 2/3 of the Lord's own people don't. That makes no sense. All right, so I really want to focus on that point to really bring this home. All right, because you can contemn the small things of not written in the book of life and these different things that these guys are bringing up. But what is really important is the bigger picture. All right, what the Lord established as the bigger picture. All right, and that is the promise made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And when you go to the promise that was made, it didn't just include, all right, the righteous. It included the seed, and that was general. The seed of Israel. The inheritance didn't come by law. It came by a promise that was made to our forefather. And it's easy to puff it up and to think that the works that we do in this life has warranted us that righteousness, but it hasn't. We're all at the mercy of the Lord. And for our people to boast themselves against 2/3 of their own people, to say that they're not even going to be on the planet, but heathens will, is off, man. I want to make this quick point as well. All right, Ecclesiastes 38:29. All right, and it reads, So doeth the potter sitting at his work, and turning the wheel about with his feet, who is always carefully set at his work, and maketh all his work by number. He fashioneth the clay with his arm, and boweth down his strength before his feet. He applieth himself to lead it over, and he is diligent to make clean the furnace. All these trust to their hands, and every one is wise in his work. Without these cannot a city be inhabited, and they shall not dwell where they will, nor go up and down. They shall not be sought for in public council, nor sit high in the congregation. Now, the reason I want to stop here, right, is because it's saying they will not sit high in the congregation. Now, we know that the heathens don't sit in the congregation of the Lord. That's only for Israel. So who are these people that are not going to sit high in the congregation? They shall not sit on the judge's seat, nor understand the sentence of judgment. They cannot declare justice and judgment, and they shall not be found where parables are spoken. But they will maintain the state of the world and all their desires in the work of their craft. So there are going to be people that are insignificant in the kingdom of heaven that are Israelites. Those insignificant Israelites are going to have thousands, if not millions of children. And what these guys will have you to believe is that those millions, possibly billions of children are just new spirits. Now, when you go into the next chapter, the reason that you know that this is talking about Israelites, all right, it says, nor sit high in the congregation. All right, but this is another thing. Verse 39, chapter 39, verse 1, Ecclesiastes 39:1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies. He will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also. He will seek out the secrets of grave sentences, and be conversant in dark places. He shall serve among great men, and appear before princes. He will travel through strange countries, where he hath tried the good and the evil among men. He will give his heart to resort early to the Lord that made him, and will pray before Yahweh Shai, and will open his mouth in prayer and make supplication for his sins. All right, but the point being is that those who are occupied in the law and in prophecies, they will serve among great men. But then you will have insignificant Israelites that will not be sought for public counsel. And they won't sit high, meaning they won't have rank in the congregation. That's what it means to sit high in the congregation. And this is just a small caveat, all right, to add to this lesson. Because again, the point being is that the Lord made a promise to our forefathers. Now, 2/3 of our people will be destroyed, and they will learn this lesson through death by pain. And you will have our people who believe that that's not enough. The heathens can have enough mercy to die and come back and serve captivity and then live under the Israelites, but 2/3 of our people can't. They can't die and then come back on the earth. That's off, man. All right, so Lord willing, this was edifying. With that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasha Allah, and the sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. Shalom.